Employers, increased ICE enforcement at work sites is coming. Let's talk about the three main types of enforcement activities and what may trigger them. I'm immigration attorney Cristopher Gaston at the Gaston Law Firm in Stuart, Florida. What I believe is the highest level of worksite enforcement by ICE is a civil warrant signed by a magistrate. So this is a warrant signed by a judge. They are sometimes called Blackie warrants. It's a case related to those warrants, so that's where the name comes from. However, these warrants are broader in scope. Oftentimes the warrants are directed towards the actual employer, the company, and there is a belief that there is a pattern and practice of having undocumented people work at the place, or at least that there is evidence that undocumented people are working there. So this is not limited to a particular person. In fact, they often don't identify the person that they're looking for, and it gives ICE a broader scope of the ability to search and talk to individuals and detain individuals and so forth. So this is what's commonly known as the ICE raid, where the ICE officers come and they're detaining several individuals, they're talking to people, they're interviewing, they're asking to review documents or taking documents and so forth. So really the scope of what the ICE officers are able to do is articulated and detailed in the warrant. And this is based on them presenting probable cause to a magistrate. So this is probably the worst case scenario for an employer, because this means that there's some evidence that has been able to convince a magistrate that they should issue one of these types of warrants. And so the employer, not only the employee has rights as well, among them is the employer has the right to have their counsel present while the warrant is being executed, and that may give them the opportunity to have some instruction about what they should do or what they're not required to do, and have somebody to communicate with ICE to kind of explain the process and facilitate the whole procedure of the warrant being served and so forth. Another thing that employers need to keep in mind is what types of things trigger these enforcement activities. So one common enforcement activity that trigger is a whistleblower. So our employee, a former employee or current employee, may have told Immigration and Customs Enforcement that there are undocumented people working at the business, and that may be one of the reasons why the immigration enforcement activity is happening. Another reason is it could be an escalation. So there may be a Form I-9 inspection, and based on the information gleaned during that inspection, the immigration officers determine that there's a pattern and practice of hiring undocumented workers, or the employers willfully or recklessly disregarding the immigration law related to hiring undocumented workers. So they may know the workers are undocumented and still hide it. So that's another challenge that can trigger an ICE enforcement activity. Or if the Form I-9 investigation or inspection or communication with another person reveals that the employer is actively taking steps to hide the fact that they are employing unauthorized workers. So they may be trying to bring workers in from another company, or doing some other things that helps the employer hide the fact that they have knowledge that undocumented workers are working at their establishment and they're continuing to do it. Another thing that may be similar to a whistleblower, but not exactly the same thing, is if there have been enforcement activities and current or former employees have been detained by ICE, and ICE gathers the information that there are several undocumented people who they've detained and who state that they are working at a particular company, and the company doesn't seem to be taking the steps it needs to take to verify that their workforce is lawful. So a lot of these things can be triggers that cause immigration enforcement and attract the immigration officers to your business, and can result in anything from a Form I-9 inspection to a full ICE raid. If you have questions about whether your business is in compliance with the immigration laws, or if you feel you need help getting your business to be in compliance with immigration laws, or you want to talk about opportunities to find a way to hire foreign nationals lawfully through some other programs like the H-2B program, please contact my team at the Gaston Law Firm. You can can reach us at 772-219-0101, or you can find us on the web at www.gastonlawfirm.com. If you found this information helpful, if you believe it might be helpful to someone you know or another business person in the community, please feel free to like the information, comment, share it, so that we can help employers in the community all maintain a lawful workforce and avoid the negative consequences of ICE worksite enforcement. At the Gaston Law Firm, we are committed to helping employers and employees navigate the immigration laws and move forward with building their American futures.